My girlfriend's best friend texts her morning, noon, and night. She calls me possessive for wanting boundaries. After my 26th birthday where I got a last-minute gift, I'm left wondering, am I overreacting or is this relationship a recipe for heartbreak? I am uncertain whether my insecurities stem from this being my first relationship or if they are typical. I apologize if my writing seems unclear or confusing. I simply needed a space to express my concerns. I accepted, although reluctantly, that my girlfriend initially presented herself as an introverted person who did not often engage with others. However, I later discovered, to my dismay, that she frequently communicated with numerous men. At the beginning of our relationship, we established some basic boundaries, and she initially agreed to them. For instance, we decided that there would be no one-on-one meetings with members of the opposite gender, that she would cease communication with any male who had previously shown romantic interest, and that she would refrain from sharing intimate details of her personal life with others, like her days off with men who frequently asked her out. Additionally, we agreed that she should avoid becoming too close to new male acquaintances. The first 2 to 3 months were generally acceptable. There were certain issues I disliked, but they were resolved after I raised them a few times. For example, she initially sent good morning and good night messages to several men. I had been unaware of this until I found out and informed her that it was inappropriate, which prompted her to address the situation. Although it took a few reminders, she eventually communicated to these men that she could no longer continue that behavior, leading to a more harmonious dynamic between us. Unfortunately, men from her past continued to reach out persistently, which was unpleasant, but this behavior diminished after she refused their advances. In response, I have disconnected from most of my female friends and stopped communicating with them almost entirely because she was uncomfortable with how they interacted with me in the past. I genuinely did not mind and simply ceased contact. We had several intense arguments after that, during which she directly expressed her desire to break up with me, and there were instances when she stormed out in the middle of the night, prompting me to chase after her to ensure her safe return home. It felt like a scene from a drama, yet somehow I managed to salvage the relationship. After the fourth or fifth month, we had another argument, during which she suddenly claimed that our boundaries were unnecessary. She perceived my actions as possessive and controlling, asserting that she understood her own limits and that there was no need to have any imposed. Unsurprisingly, I felt disappointed and angry. Ultimately, we were on the brink of breaking up again, but I reassured her that I would accept her for who she is and hoped she would not make any mistakes. During the 5th to 6th month, I learned that she had grown close to a few male colleagues. I was uncomfortable with the sudden influx of messages from them and her prompt replies. I requested that she reduce her communication with them, as it was difficult for me to be comfortable with it after we had initially set boundaries. After several back-and-forth arguments, I felt exhausted and decided to let it go, hoping she would show restraint. In the 7th month, as one of her colleagues' birthdays approached, he repeatedly asked my girlfriend to take him out to dinner to celebrate, but she indicated to him that I did not permit her to go out alone with anyone. Initially, I questioned why she could not just say no instead of attributing it to me, but ultimately I was relieved that nothing transpired, so I chose to overlook it. He later requested a headset as a gift. We had previously agreed to refrain from giving gifts to members of the opposite gender, so I expected her to decline. However, I discovered she offered instead a less expensive headset and even suggested creating a handmade card for him, which I found unacceptable. In the end, nothing was exchanged, but we argued about it. I told her she had better give me a gift that surpassed anyone else's. I often mentioned that I did not desire anything extravagant, merely something personal. A handcrafted gift would be ideal. Finally, my birthday arrived. I had been eagerly anticipating this occasion as it was the first time I had someone special to celebrate with. I hoped it would be a memorable and thoughtfully planned day, but I discovered that she hadn't made any plans, not even a reservation for dinner. After numerous reminders about my approaching birthday, she quickly searched for a place and asked if I wanted to go there. I agreed, but inside I felt quite saddened. I had to make the reservation myself just 2 to 3 days before my birthday. She later gifted me a wallet, which was an unplanned gesture made 1 to 2 weeks prior. While we were out for lunch, she asked what I wanted, and I mentioned a wallet as mine had holes or something handmade by her. There happened to be a brand she liked at the mall we visited, so she purchased a wallet for me on the spot. Consequently, the gift was not much of a surprise, but I overlooked that since I was more eagerly awaiting a card from her. For context, I treated her to sushi worth $400 and gifted her a computer setup valued at $3,000 for her birthday. She spent the week at my place leading up to my birthday, and I subtly hinted that I was looking forward to her card. However, when the day arrived, she informed me that she had not had the time to create one. She explained that she was tired and busy and therefore could not prepare a card for me. This left me feeling upset and disappointed, especially since I recalled she had previously created a handmade card for a colleague or friend, but when it came to me, I received nothing. The birthday celebration itself was mediocre. We had a meal and then returned to our respective homes. Recently, she went on a trip and initially told me she was only assisting a female friend in buying souvenirs. I provided her with some money and encouraged her to buy clothing for herself as well. 2 to 3 days into the trip, I asked her if she had purchased any clothes, to which she replied no, indicating she was saving the money for food and souvenirs. I told her she could not possibly spend all her money solely on food and offered to send more if needed. However, she snapped at me, insisting that I simply did not understand. She told me that if I did not know what I wanted, I should stop asking and wait. This made me suspect she was planning to buy gifts for other male friends without telling me. I would be more amenable if she were honest, but feeling like she was withholding the truth from me made me weary, confused, and sad. I am unsure if I am overthinking the situation. Regarding one particular male colleague, at the beginning of our relationship, he invited her out for dinner for a celebration. He was apparently a longtime friend, so I did not object too firmly. I felt it was too early for my input. I had also played a couple of games with him previously, making me more agreeable to the idea. However, I later discovered he had ulterior motives. He attempted to persuade my girlfriend to drink with him, knowing she could not handle alcohol, and even sought to convince her to be with him instead, claiming he was more successful than I was and could provide her with a better life according to her. Naturally, I was furious and told her how much I disliked him and that she should cease communication. Yet, recognizing their professional ties complicated things for her, I tried to be understanding and advised her to limit their interactions outside of work. After 2 to 3 months without much contact, he began to text her frequently again and attempted to join our gaming sessions. He openly expressed his feelings of depression to other colleagues following her reduced communication with him, as she informed me. This situation distracted her from work, and rumors began circulating that he had asked her out, only to be turned down. Consequently, his friends at work became hostile towards her, especially since she was relatively new while he had been there for years. Months later, when I thought I would not hear from him any longer, he began pestering her to invite him to games again, claiming he was lonely. It seems he needs help more than I do, but I feel hypocritical asking for advice online about my concerns. Regarding another male friend, this person communicates with her almost every day, morning, noon, and night. The constant notifications are incredibly frustrating, and it is clear to me that he holds feelings for her, yet she continues to deny it. He frequently invites her to collaborate on various projects despite her full-time job. Even when we traveled together, he persisted in messaging her and suggested she work with him upon her return for a part-time job. Does he have no sense of decency? It is difficult to determine if he is merely idle or genuinely strange. The most disheartening part is that my girlfriend insists he means no harm, he's just a best friend. That is what best friends do. Recently, while abroad, he asked if she wanted anything from Vietnam or wherever he was traveling, and she relayed to me that she politely declined his offers. However, just 1 to 2 weeks ago, he returned and asked her to meet up so he could give her some items. I struggle to determine if I am too immature for finding this all so irritating. It feels as though he is seeking any excuse to see her. In the end, I told her it was acceptable if he were simply offering snacks but strictly no personal gifts. She immediately reproached me for being controlling and possessive, insisting that this was standard behavior among friends. I felt utterly at a loss for words. What began as a quick visit from the nearby mall turned into him insisting on coming to her house instead. I found this unnecessary, but I refrained from voicing my opinion. The most amusing part was when he feigned being too busy to meet her and suggested rescheduling. I offered to pick up the items from him since I had a small vehicle nearby and could accommodate. She then inquired whether it would be acceptable for me to collect the items on her behalf. Initially, he dodged the question but later conveyed that he was shy to meet me. At that point, I was infuriated and questioned why a 29-year-old man who works in a sales environment would feel bashful about handing off a bag to a 24-year-old. She harshly responded that I was being overly sensitive and that I simply did not want her to see her male best friend, asserting that I was overthinking the situation. I began to question why she defended him so vigorously while treating me with suspicion, despite the simplicity of the task. Essentially, her justification for addressing me so harshly stems from her expectations of me compared to others. She explicitly requested that I have no expectations of her, claiming that setting boundaries was unnecessary, yet she became disappointed when I did not behave according to her preferences. There is much more to discuss, but I am exhausted at this point. If anyone has advice on my situation or thinks I am overreacting, please let me know what I should do. Story 2. My girlfriend, who I loved after only a month, suddenly blocked me on Instagram and asked for space due to sexual incompatibility. I'm heartbroken. I feel like I got played, I lashed out. Now I'm left wondering if embarrassment drove her away. Can we recover? Girlfriend bleeding every time we have sexual intercourse and now wants a break to reconsider our relationship. Sigh, sorry for the long post. Hello everyone, I am 28 years old male and my girlfriend is 29 years old female. We are experiencing some difficulties with our sex life which have already led to serious problems. This is truly the first time I have encountered a situation like this. I genuinely love her and do not want this relationship to end. We are only 1 month in and have already created many wonderful memories together. Our hobbies, lifestyle, and mindset are mostly aligned. However, she is quite introverted and somewhat shy, whereas I am extremely extroverted. For context, we have been friends for 4 years, but we were not very close initially. After rekindling our connection at a mutual friend's wedding, we dated for 3 months before I asked her to be my girlfriend during a ski trip afterward. We were both extremely happy, and she confessed that she had liked me for quite some time, which I also admitted. Fast forward to the first time we had sexual intercourse. I noticed pink stains on the tissue. I asked her the next morning if I had been too rough or hurt her. She claimed it did not hurt at all and that she thoroughly enjoyed it. She was quite tight and I am on the larger side with a notably wide girth. Therefore, I did not pay much attention and said that if I hurt her or if it was uncomfortable, she needed to tell me because I truly do not want her to feel uncomfortable. The second time, which was 2 weeks after the trip, we were having sex and I noticed some blood, but it consisted of 1 or 2 pinkish drops. When I wiped myself, the tissue clearly showed some blood was coming from her. I was not even fully inserted, approximately 90%. I asked again, and she said the sex was great and did not cause any pain, telling me not to worry about it. We had our third encounter 1 week later. This time, she asked me to be a bit more forceful with her, as she could tell I was holding back the previous time. I complied with her request but still restrained myself somewhat. I was just a bit harder and faster this time. I became soft immediately after seeing that she kind of squirted, although it was pinkish. She experienced her first orgasm from penetration that time. The issue arose during our fourth encounter. It occurred right after her period and she wanted me to be very vigorous. I should have known better and gone gently, but she was very eager. I gave it everything I had, resulting in a significant amount of blood afterward, blood on her thighs, my hand appearing red when I withdrew, and small blood splatter stains on the bedsheet. The tissue was red this time. However, she said it did not hurt and that it might just be related to her period. Everything seemed fine for the next 2 days and she even came over to spend the night. We went to work together as usual and texted throughout the day. Then, she suddenly became distant in the evening, went home, and continued this behavior the following day. I received a text from her stating she wanted to meet up and discuss something. I became quite worried, as I did not understand what had changed since she had suddenly withdrawn. At first, she appeared very embarrassed and revealed that she had visited the doctor the other night because she continued to bleed for the next 2 days while at work. The doctor informed her that there were slight vaginal cuts and tears inside. I comforted her immediately, telling her she should have informed me about it, and I would have gone to the doctor with her. She became quite upset by this, asserting that our sexual life is a significant aspect that would affect us if it is not resolved. I agree. She expressed the need for some space to think things through herself and determine if this issue could be resolved. When she said that, I became angry because I felt initially pushed away, and her sudden cold treatment did not help the situation at all. I reacted by expressing that I felt manipulated and that I believed she was serious about our relationship. I suggested that if she wanted to take a break to think, perhaps it would be better for us to break up instead, as I did not understand why I had to be sidelined once again. I conveyed that this could be resolved by us discussing it together, which she did not agree to do at the moment. I apologized the following day after calming down and truly tried to understand how traumatic this must have been for her. I regretted becoming angry the previous night, realizing how embarrassed she must have felt when revealing what was happening. She texted me afterward requesting a call, and I agreed. I continued to apologize and assured her that I was supportive of her in this situation, wanting to demonstrate my willingness to help in any way I could. It was never my intention to hurt her. She does not wish to break up and requested some space to think clearly about everything. She also works a demanding job in finance, often not finishing until around 9 or 10 p.m. We agreed that I would give her some space, and I am now trying very hard not to text or contact her. I want to ask if something like this can happen, her wanting space after such events and somewhat pushing me away without first communicating her concerns. I do not understand why I have to feel sidelined instead of resolving this together as a couple. Is this possibly due to embarrassment on her part? I apologize for the questions, as I am new to this situation since it has never occurred with my previous partners. Thank you. Summary: I have caused discomfort to my girlfriend, who has been a friend for 4 years, and I believe she is somewhat traumatized by our last sexual experience. Now she has requested space to reconsider the relationship. I feel lost because I genuinely love her. Prior to expressing her feelings, she became completely distant one day, while the day before she was still affectionate and caring. It felt like an abrupt change. She has also blocked me on her Instagram account, but she denies it, claiming it is a technical issue. Our mutual close friend can see her account without any problems. We officially became a couple exactly 1 month ago, and she is not the type of person who would cheat.